Hey Potomac Elementary third graders, it's Miss Manno here again. We are going to jump right in and get started because we've got a lot to learn today. Yesterday, I believe Miss Catlett went over some geometry terms with you, and she talked about line segments and rays and lines. So to get us started, we are going to review what a line segment is because that's going to help us with our new topic for today. So if you remember, a line segment looks like this. It has our endpoints on both sides and a line in the middle. So a line segment is straight. It has two endpoints. And it doesn't keep going, right? A line keeps going, a line segment stops. We can say that a line segment is a part of a line. We need to remember what line segments are because that is going to help us with what we are going to be learning about today. We are going to be learning about polygons. And you might be thinking, I don't know what a polygon is. I've never heard of that word before, but you probably have. They're the shapes that are there's some of the shapes that are around us. So some of those shapes that, you learn and you put into matching holes when you're 4, those are polygons. A polygon is a closed shape It has straight lines. And is made up of line segments. So when we think to ourselves and ask ourselves, is something a polygon? We've got to ask ourselves, is it closed? Which means that there's no opening. So this would not be a polygon. It also doesn't have straight lines. If we had straight lines but it still didn't connect, this still wouldn't be a polygon. Our polygons are things like this, or like this, or maybe it's a more funky shape but it's still closed. Created our line segments and is created with straight lines. So we are going to look at some examples together that I've picked out, and we are going to decide, is it a polygon? Is it a polygon? If it's a polygon, we're going to put it on one side. If it's not, we're going to stick it on the other. So let's take a look here. Remember, when we are thinking of a polygon, we are thinking it has straight lines. It's closed. And it's created of line segments. So let's take a look at our first example. What do you think? Is this shape a polygon? It has straight lines and it's closed and it's created up of our line segments. So we're going to say yes, it is a polygon and stick it under our polygon category. So this is a polygon. Now let's look at this shape. This is a circle. We've got to think about this. It's got to meet all of our criteria, or all of our points. It's a straight line, it's closed and made up of line segments. It is closed, but it is not made up of straight lines. So in this case, a circle is not a polygon. It is not a polygon. What about this shape? Does this shape look like a polygon? Does it have straight lines? Yes. Is it closed? Does it have any openings? No, it doesn't have any openings, so it's closed, and it looks like it's created out of line segments. So we are going to stick this shape under our polygon category. What about this shape? Now this one's kind of tricky too. We have two straight lines, but then we have these squiggly lines. So are all my lines straight? Nope. So I can already say it's not a polygon. Even though it's closed, it's not completely made out of straight lines. So it is not a polygon. What about this shape? A heart. Is a heart a polygon? Think about it. A heart is not a polygon because it doesn't have all straight lines, right? The top of the heart is curved. What about this shape? Does it have straight lines? Is it closed? I've checked all my boxes, so it is a polygon. So hopefully doing some of those examples helped you figure out, or helped you get a better understanding of what a polygon is and isn't. I know it's kind of a confusing thing, maybe a little bit. Some polygons have special names, so we are going to take a look at those special names for our shapes next. Our first shape you probably know. It is this shape. And the name for this shape is a triangle. A triangle. Tri means three. So it has three angles. 1, 2, 3. It also happens to have 3 sides. Now we've got a couple of shapes for the next one. We have this shape. And this shape, and this shape. These are all called quadrilaterals. Quadrilaterals. Quadrilateral. A quadrilateral has 4 sides. Now, if its sides are all the same length, like in this shape, we know this shape is called a square. So this is a special kind of quadrilateral called a square. If just 2 sides are the same like this, we call this a rectangle. So we have quadrilaterals, which are 4-sided shapes, We have triangles, which are four-sided shapes, but sometimes we have special names for our quadrilaterals. A five-sided shape is called a pentagon. Pentagon. So a triangle has three sides, quadrilaterals have four, a pentagon has five. We're going to fit one more here. A six-sided shape is called a hexagon. A hexagon. Each. So this is something when you're looking around your house, you can be trying to look for these different kinds of shapes, thinking about these terms. We have a few more. So we've got our triangle has three sides, our quadrilateral has four, our pentagon has five, and our hexagon has six. Seven, a seven-sided shape is something kind of funky. It is called a heptagon. So a seven-sided shape is a heptagon. And so you can see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 sides. Each of these line segments is a side. We have 7 of them. One that you've probably heard of before is an 8-sided shape, is an octagon. And I like to think an octopus has 8 tentacles, 8 legs. An octagon has 8 sides. A 9-sided shape is called a nonagon. A nonagon. And finally, a 10-sided shape is called a decagon. So we've looked at all of our shapes. If we went and counted the sides, we could see each of these is a side. Each line segment is a side. If you count those, that's how you can tell how many sides it is and what name we should give to the shape. So we are going to review quickly before we move on to our last topic. A 3-sided polygon is called a triangle. If it has 4 sides, it's a quadrilateral. If it has 5 sides, it's a pentagon. Six sides is a hexagon. 7 sides is a heptagon. 8 sides is an octagon. 9 sides, I'm going to write it up here, is a nonagon. And 10 sides is a decagon. So these are things, maybe you can ask your parents to create some flashcards for you. Just keep practicing, maybe go around your house, see if you can find 4-sided shapes that are closed or 8-sided shapes. or see if you can create your own. Before we wrap up, the last thing we've got to talk about is parallel versus perpendicular lines. So we have these words that we use to help us describe our lines. They are parallel and perpendicular. Parallel lines are lines or line segments that do not touch. So if I kept drawing these out in a perfect world, they wouldn't ever come together. They'd never meet up. They'd never cross one another to create angles like Miss Catlett talked about yesterday. Perpendicular lines do cross. They cross in a special way, and that's why we call them perpendicular lines. If we just had lines that crossed like this, or maybe like this, these are just intersecting lines. These are not perpendicular lines. Perpendicular lines are two lines that intersect to create 90-degree angles. So those straight up and down angles. So perpendicular lines, they do intersect to create right angles. Parallel lines do not intersect. They're two lines that will never touch. They'll never cross one another. They'll never meet up. I know we went through a lot today, so just to quickly review, we talked about polygons, and polygons are closed shapes created by straight line segments. So if we say that it's closed, there's no opening, our straight line segments all come together. So even if there's 3 straight line segments and then a wavy line, this is not a polygon. We talked about the names of special types of polygons. We talked about parallel and perpendicular lines. So parallel lines will never touch. They just keep going on their merry way. Perpendicular lines do cross, and they cross to create 90-degree angles. So that's why we give them a special name. So parallel and perpendicular. I hope that this helped you guys. I hope that you continue to practice the things that we've been talking about on our YouTube channel. I hope that you continue to practice doing those practice sheets. And remember, if you need any help, ask your parents. Ask your parents to email your teacher. We're here for you guys. We miss you. And have a good weekend since we won't see you on Friday. Bye.